So to make this, I'm going to be cutting the back first, and then we'll use the back to cut the front. My fabric is folded into two, and this is the fold point. There is no zipper on this, so there is no zipper allowance for the back. So the total length is 20 inches. It's a crop top, so I made 1 inch extra, and that leaves it at 21 inches. So on this upper part, I'm going to take my shoulder measurement. The shoulder is 15 divided by 2 is 7.5, so I have 7.5 inches here. My neck width is 3 inches, and then the depth for the back is going to be 1.5 inches. So there, I'm just going to connect my back depth. You can also use a curve. So here I'm going to come down by 1 inch for my shoulder strap, and then I'll connect that to my neck point. So my armhole is 9 inches, so from the starting point I'll mark my 9 inches here, and I'll make it into a straight line, and on that point I'm going to take my bust measurement. The bust is 44 divided by 4 is 11, and then I'm adding 1 inch for my seam allowance. I hope you can see that. And then here is my waist. So my waistline, the waist is 36 divided by 4 is 9. So I have 9 inches here, and I'm going to add a 1 inch seam allowance to that as well. So with my ruler, I'm just going to connect from my bust to my waist. It's a simple blouse. So here I'll just use my curve to connect my armhole for my armhole curve. Okay, so this is what we have now, and then I'm going to go ahead and cut out this, so it's exactly like you're making your basic bodies. Okay, so for the front, I have folded my fabric into two again, and I have laid the back, so you can see my back. I just laid it. So but before you lay your back, you need allowance to wrap this. Is a wrap top, so you need it to wrap. For me, I want it to wrap around my body. If you don't want it to wrap your body, you may not live up to this allowance, but I just use exactly what I have on my waist measurement as my allowance, which is 10 inches, okay, including the allowance. So I have about 11 inches here. I'm still going to hem it inside, so I have 11 inches as my allowance. So after 11 inches, I placed my back on it like this. So it's simple. The side remains the same. This is the side. I'm just going to cut out the side. The armhole remains the same as well. We are only modifying the center front where we have our allowance. So here on my neckline for the front, I'm going to work with a neck depth of 7 inches. Okay, remember I already went down by 1.5 for my back, so I have 7 inches here for the front. And then on the hem of this overlap area, okay, there's going to be a 2 inches belt, so I'll just come up by 3 inches on the hem. So you can see from the hem line, I'm coming up by 3 inches. I left that allowance to turn it out, and my 3 inches is here. So what I'm going to do now is to connect these 3 inches to my neckline. So I'm going to use my free hand to do this, and then I'm connecting like this. Okay, that's my allowance. And then here on the neckline area, I'm going to connect my 7 inches neck depth to my neck width. Okay, so you can use a curve for this, but I'm using my free hand, as we can see. So this is the curve that we have now, and then I'll go ahead and cut this out. So because I'm hemming with this as well, I'm not cutting on the chalk exactly. I'm leaving little allowance for me to be able to hem it. So if you're using a bias, okay, which is advisable, you can just use a bias to have something really neat. So you just cut on your chalk line. Where I'm just folding in my fabric to hem this. That's why I'm leaving that tiny allowance there. Okay, so this is what I have now. I'll just open this 3 inches up. Now the next thing is to go ahead and sew this. So you can just notch your center front here, but it's not really necessary to sew. Now I'm going to lay the front and back on each other, and then I'll join it on the shoulder and the side. Okay, so I'll join the shoulder together here, and then I'll sew it on the side as well. So after doing that, I'm going to go ahead and fold. You can hem the neckline of the front and back separately. So I'll just fold it twice, tiny like this, and then hem it all around. You can also use a bias or cut facing for this, but because of this tutorial I'm just doing something really simple for me, so I'll just go ahead and hem it and sew the shoulder and the side seam together before we fix our belt to this. So I have gone ahead to join the shoulder together, and then I sew the side seam as well. So after that, I just hemmed the neckline just like I explained. So you can see I just folded it twice, and then I sew it on the neckline from the front to the back and to the other side of the front. And then I did the same thing on the hem of the blouse. I hemmed it as well. So you can see the way I cut this is going to be really covered in front. I don't want to have to wear a camisole or something. So you can see I use just 7 inches. By the time I put this on, it's not going to expose anything. So what we need to do now is to just go ahead and fix the belt and the sleeve. So I'll just fill the sleeve. For the sleeve, I have my basic sleeve here. It's a puff sleeve. My actual sleeve length is 11 inches, but I increased this to 15 because I want it to be really puffy. I'm just trying this sleeve for the first time. There are several ways you can cut your puff sleeve, and I have several of it on the channel again, but I just want to try something because my fabric is not so big. So I've put my fabric on 4x4, and what I did was just to cut my sleeve just like this, and then I placed my fabric like this. So I want to make it look like a half circle flare. So what I did was just to place my sleeve on the fabric like this, my basic sleeve on the fabric like this, and then to the left and right I added few inches, like 6 inches. Okay, you can see what I have. I added few inches on this side, and I did the same thing on this side as well. So now I'm going to trace out my armhole. Okay, I'm going to trace out my armhole on this curve that I have, and then I'll just maintain this extra length that I have here, and then over here I'm going to link it from my hem. Okay, I'm going to link it from my hem here in a diagonal line to the tip of my sleeve. So after that, I'll grab my scissors and cut this out. So I'll just see what this sleeve is going to look like by the time I'm done. So I'm cutting the two together. That's why my fabric is folded into 4. So that's the head of my sleeve. I'm still going to recut it. My scissors is not so sharp, and then here I'm going to cut this side to meet the hem on this side. So you're going to leave this side like this. You can see that it's looking like a half circle flare. Okay, so this is what I have. So I'll just go ahead and create channel on this side. I'll create a channel to pass my elastic on this side, and because this other side is just my exact sleeve measurements, I will not need to add elastic or gather it. I'll just sew it to my armhole like that. Okay, so I have reshaped my armhole area, and you can see, just like I said, you're just going to sew your armhole to your sleeve, and then on this side I'm just going to create casing for my elastic.